The sun has long since set behind the distant hills. The sky is a deep, heavy indigo, the color of a bruised plum, signaling the arrival of the long winter night. We are here in a quiet corner of the Roman Empire. The year is not important. The names of the emperors in faraway Rome do not matter here. There is no news of war tonight. There are no messengers riding frantically on the roads. There is only the winter. There is only the stone and the fire and the silence. You do not need to pay attention to these words. They are merely a backdrop, like the slow ticking of a clock or the gentle hum of the wind outside. If you fall asleep, you will miss nothing. The history here is static. It has waited for 2,000 years. It can wait for tomorrow. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. We are simply going to sit inside a Roman winter shelter and watch the time pass. The structure we are in is sturdy. It is built to withstand the cold winds that blow down from the north. The walls are thick, constructed of rough-hewn stone and bounded by mortar that has hardened over decades. Outside, the world is freezing. The air is sharp and bites at the skin. The ground is hard, frozen solid under a layer of fresh, white snow. But inside, the air is different. Inside, there is a heaviness, a warmth that feels substantial and protective. Let us look at the floor. It is not just a floor. It is a masterpiece of Roman engineering designed for comfort. It is a mosaic composed of thousands of tiny tessellated stones. Some are white like bone. Some are gray like a storm cloud. Some are a dull, rusty red like dried clay. Together, they form a simple geometric pattern, a border of meandering lines that trap the eye and lead it in endless, soothing circles. But the true marvel lies beneath these stones. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. Underneath this mosaic floor, there are pillars of brick, stacked carefully to create a hollow space. In a furnace room outside, a fire is burning slowly, consistently. The heat from that fire is drawn under the floor, circulating through the hollow spaces, warming the tiles from below. This is the Hypocaust. It is the heart of the Roman winter. Imagine taking off your sandals. Imagine placing your bare feet onto the mosaic tiles. You expect the shock of cold stone, but instead you are met with a gentle, radiating warmth. It is not hot, it is simply warm. The heat travels up through your soles into your ankles, thawing the chill of the evening. It is a steady, unwavering heat rising from the earth itself, engineered by hands that worked centuries ago. The room is dimly lit. There are no bright lights here, no harsh glares. The illumination comes from small clay lamps, lucerne, scattered around the room on low wooden tables and in niches carved into the walls. Let us focus on one of these lamps. It is a simple object, shaped like a teardrop, made of terracotta clay that has been fired to a pale orange hue. It fits easily in the palm of a hand. Inside the lamp there is olive oil. It is thick golden green oil pressed from olives harvested months ago, perhaps in the sun-drenched groves of Hispania or Italy. Now that sunlight is trapped in the oil, waiting to be released. A small wick made of twisted linen or flax floats in the oil. The tip of the wick burns with a small, steady flame. Watch the flame. It does not dance wildly. It sways ever so slightly in the still air of the room. It is a small tongue of fire, orange at the tip, blue at the base. It casts long, soft shadows against the plaster walls. The shadows stretch and contract, breathing with the flame. The light is soft enough that it does not hurt the eyes. It is a sleepy light, a light for resting. There is a smell in the air. It is a complex, comforting scent. It is the smell of the burning olive oil, a slightly nutty, greasy aroma that is familiar to everyone in this world. Mixed with it is the scent of wood smoke, faint and distant, drifting in from the furnace room. And underneath that, the smell of old stone, of dried herbs hanging from the rafters, and the clean, mineral scent of the winter air seeping in through the cracks around the heavy wooden shutters. Let us move our gaze to the window. It is small, high up on the wall. It does not have glass. Glass is expensive and rare for a shelter like this. Instead, it has a heavy wooden shutter bound with iron straps. The shutter is closed, barred against the night, but through the small gaps in the wood, you can hear the wind. Listen to the wind. It is a low, mournful sound. Woo, woo, It rushes past the stone walls, searching for a way in but finding none. It rattles the tiles on the roof, a gentle, rhythmic clattering. Click-clack, click-clack. The sound of the wind only makes the silence inside feel deeper. It reminds you that you are sheltered. You are separated from the chaos of the elements. You are safe in this warm box of stone and light. In the corner of the room there is a table. It is made of oak, dark and heavy. The wood is old, polished smooth by years of use. On the table sits a ceramic jug, an amphora. It is tall, with 2 handles near the neck. The surface of the clay is rough, cool to the touch. Inside there is water, or perhaps a weak wine diluted for the evening meal. Next to the jug is a bowl of polished wood. It is empty now. The evening meal is finished. A Roman soldier sits on a stool near the wall. He is not in uniform. He has removed his heavy armor, his larica segmentata, the metal plates that weigh down his shoulders during the day. Now he wears only a simple tunic of undyed wool. The wool is coarse but warm. It is the color of oatmeal, flecked with bits of gray. It hangs loosely on his frame. He is doing nothing. This is the part of history that books often leave out. The waiting, the resting, the boredom. He is not fighting a barbarian horde. He is not marching miles across a paved road. He is simply sitting. His hands rest on his knees. His hands are calloused, rough from gripping the handle of a shovel or the shaft of a spear. But now his hands are still. He looks at the lamp. He watches the flame flicker. Perhaps he is thinking of his home, far away in a warmer province. Perhaps he is thinking of nothing at all. His breathing is slow and rhythmic. In and out, in and out. The rise and fall of his chest is barely visible in the dim light. He reaches down and adjusts a blanket that is draped over his legs. The blanket is thick, woven from heavy sheep's wool. It is dyed a deep, dull red, a color popular in the legions because it hides the dirt. He pulls the fabric tighter around his knees. The movement is slow. There is no urgency. The wool makes a soft, scratching sound against his skin. SHHH, SHHH. The room is not entirely silent. If you listen very closely past the wind outside, you can hear the sounds of the house settling. The wood of the roof beams contracts slightly in the cold, making a faint creaking sound. Creak. Pause. Creak. It is a homely sound. It speaks of endurance. These beams have held up this roof for years, through dozens of winters, and they will hold it up for dozens more. Near the soldier on the floor lies a dog. It is a large breed similar to a mastiff with a thick coat of fur to protect it against the northern chill. The dog is asleep. Its head rests on its front paws. Its eyes are closed tight. Occasionally its ear twitches. Occasionally it lets out a long, heavy sigh. H-H-H-H-H-H. The breath whistles slightly through its nose. The dog is completely at peace. It trusts the walls. It trusts the warmth of the floor. It trusts the man sitting nearby. Let your own breathing match the rhythm of the room, slow, steady. There is nothing you need to accomplish tonight. The empire is vast and complicated, but this room is simple. Here, life is reduced to the basics: heat, shelter, light, rest. Let us walk slowly, very slowly across the room. We move towards the back wall where a shelf has been carved into the stone. On the shelf there are objects of daily life. A small bronze statue of a household god, a lar. The bronze is dark, tarnished by time and smoke. The figure is small, dancing, holding a drinking horn. It watches over the household, a silent guardian. Next to the statue is a comb made of bone. It is yellowed with fine teeth. A few strands of hair are caught in it. Beside that, a small glass vial stoppered with cork. It might contain perfume or medicine or oil. The glass is thick, greenish-blue, filled with tiny bubbles from the manufacturing process. It catches the light from the oil lamp and glows faintly, like a dull gem in the shadows. We turn away from the shelf. The shadows in the room seem to have grown longer. The oil in the lamp has burned down slightly. The flame is a little lower, a little warmer in color. The night is deepening. Outside, the snow continues to fall. If we could see through the wooden shutters, we would see a world turned white. The Roman road, the via, which runs straight as an arrow through the countryside, is now buried under a blanket of snow. The milestones are capped with white. The trees stand like skeletons, their bare branches coated in ice. But the cold cannot reach us here. The hypocaust works tirelessly. The heat rises. The air near the floor is the warmest. That is why the dog lies there. That is why the soldier stretches his legs out. The warmth wraps around the ankles like a soft cloth. There is another person in the room, an older man, perhaps a servant or a steward of the house. He is standing in the far corner near a large wooden chest. He is folding linens. He moves with practiced slowness. He picks up a sheet of linen. He shakes it out gently. The sound is soft like a whisper. F-wump. He folds it in half. He smooths the crease with his hand. Swish. He folds it again. He is not in a hurry. He has folded thousands of sheets in his life. He knows the texture of the fabric, the weight of it. He places the folded sheet into the chest. Then he reaches for another. This repetition is his life. It is a calming ritual. Fold, smooth, place. Fold, smooth, place. He does not speak to the soldier. They are comfortable in their silence. Words are unnecessary. The shared warmth is enough. The shared shelter is enough. In the winter, conversation consumes energy. Silence preserves it. The steward wears a tunic of gray wool, belted at the waist with a simple rope. His sandals are worn, the leather soft and molding to the shape of his feet. He pauses for a moment to rub his hands together. The friction creates a little heat. Scritch-scratch. He looks at the lamp nearest to him. He notices the wick is getting long. He reaches into a pouch at his belt and produces a small metal tool, a pick. He leans over the lamp. With infinite care, he adjusts the wick, pulling it up slightly so it burns cleaner. The flame brightens for a second, then settles back down. He nods to himself, satisfied. A well-tended lamp is a sign of a well-tended home. Time flows differently here. In our modern world, we measure time in seconds and minutes. Here, time is measured in the burning of oil, the cooling of ash, the movement of shadows. An hour passes, or perhaps two. It is difficult to tell, and it does not matter. Imagine the texture of the wall again. It is plastered, painted a deep earthy red at the bottom and a creamy white at the top. The plaster is not perfectly smooth. There are bumps and ridges where the trowel passed over it years ago. If you were to run your fingers over it, it would feel cool and chalky. The red pigment comes from cinnabar or ochre dug from the earth. The white comes from lime. The materials of the room are all born from the earth. Stone, clay, wood, wool, oil, iron. There is nothing artificial here. Everything is grounded. The soldier shifts his weight on the stool. The wood creaks beneath him. He stretches his neck, rolling his head from side to side. Crack. A joint pops softly. He sighs. It is a sigh of contentment, of releasing the day's burdens. He leans back against the wall. The stone wall is warm from the chimney flue that runs behind it. He closes his eyes for a moment. He listens to the fire in the furnace room, the Triclinium. It is not in this room, but the sound travels through the walls, a low rumble, a snap of burning wood. Someone is stoking the fire, feeding it logs to keep the floor warm through the night. It is a distant, muffled sound like a heartbeat. Thump, crackle, thump. The air in the room is getting sleepier. The oxygen is thick and warm. The flickering light is hypnotic. Your eyelids might feel heavy. That is good. Let them be heavy. The Romans understood the value of rest. They divided the night into watches, but for the common man, the night was for sleeping, for escaping the cold. Let us examine the ceiling. It is supported by heavy wooden beams, darkened by the smoke of years of oil lamps. The space between the beams is plastered white, though it is gray now in the shadows. A spider has spun a web in the corner near the ceiling. The web catches the light, shimmering like a delicate silver thread. The spider is still. It too is waiting out the winter. The world outside is vast and cold, but this room is a capsule, a small vessel of light floating in a sea of winter darkness. You are a passenger on this vessel. You have no duties. You have no destination. You are simply here, suspended in time 2,000 years ago. The steward finishes folding the linens. He closes the lid of the heavy wooden chest. Thud. The sound is dull and final. He walks slowly across the room, his sandals shuffling on the mosaic floor. SHHH, SHHH. He goes to a small alcove where a ceramic basin stands. He dips a ladle into a bucket of water and pours a small amount into the basin. The water splashes softly, splish. He rinses his hands. The water is cold, a stark contrast to the warm air. He dries his hands on a rough cloth. He looks at the soldier. The soldier opens his eyes and nods, a microscopic movement. It is a silent greeting, a silent acknowledgement of the passing night. The steward moves to a bench against the wall and sits down. He leans his head back. He too is done for the day. Now there are two men sitting in silence. The dog on the floor, the spider in the web, the flame in the lamp, the heat in the floor, all distinct yet all part of the same moment, the unity of the winter night. The wind gusts louder for a moment, whistling around the corner of the building. It sounds lonely. It emphasizes how lucky we are to be inside. The shutter rattles in its frame just once. Then the wind dies down again, returning to a low moan. Focus on the shadows again. As the men sit still, the shadows become the only moving things in the room. They lengthen as the flame wavers. They dance on the red plaster. They soften the edges of the furniture. The sharp corners of the table become blurred. The heavy iron hinges of the door fade into the darkness. The room is losing its definition, becoming a soft blur of warmth and amber light. You are safe here. The legions guard the borders. The walls guard the room. The roof guards against the snow. There is nothing to fear. There is only the slow, steady passage of the night. Think of the snow piling up against the outer wall, flake by flake. Thousands of flakes, millions of them stacking silently, covering the grass, covering the mud, covering the footprints left earlier in the day. The world is being erased by white. It is being reset. When the sun rises tomorrow, the world will be clean and new. But for now, it is hidden. The soldier begins to unlace his sandals. He bends down, his movements stiff. He pulls at the leather thongs. One by one, he loosens the knots. He pulls the sandal off his left foot, then his right. He places them neatly side by side. He wiggles his toes, enjoying the freedom. He places his bare feet flat on the warm mosaic. He lets out a long breath through his nose. The simple pleasure of a warm floor on a cold night. It is a universal feeling. It connects you to him. Across 2 millennia, the sensation is exactly the same. The relief is the same. The comfort is the same. The lamp nearest the door flickers and dims. The oil is running low. The steward watches it but does not get up to refill it. There are other lamps. It is fine if one goes out. It will make the room darker, sleepier. He watches as the flame shrinks. It becomes a tiny blue dot. Then with a wisp of gray smoke, it vanishes. The room is darker now. The shadows have merged. The corners of the room have disappeared into absolute blackness. The remaining lamps burn bravely, casting a pool of light in the center of the room. The circle of visibility has shrunk. The world has become smaller. Just the soldier, the steward, the dog, and the warmth. We drift closer to the remaining light. We watch the texture of the burning wick. We watch the golden transparency of the oil. We watch the clay of the lamp. It is porous, imperfect. It was shaped by a human hand on a potter's wheel. You can see the faint ridges left by the potter's fingers. A fingerprint from 2,000 years ago, baked into the clay, illuminated by the fire. The silence is thick now. It feels like a blanket. It covers everything. It muffles the mind. Thoughts slow down. Worries dissolve. There is no past, no future. Only this quiet, warm Roman night. We leave the quiet companionship of the soldier and the steward. We drift like a shadow out of the room and into the corridor. The air here is cooler. The Hypocaust floor does not extend to this hallway. The stones beneath our feet are cold, solid, and unforgiving. It is a reminder of the winter that waits just outside the walls. But we are not staying in the cold. We are moving towards a soft, orange glow at the end of the passage. This is the culina, the kitchen. It is the engine of the house, the place where life is sustained. Tonight it is quiet. The busy noise of the day, the chopping, the grinding, the shouting, is gone. Now it is a place of slow, rhythmic maintenance. The room is small and crowded with shadows. The ceiling is low and blackened with soot. For decades, smoke has risen to that ceiling, coating the plaster in a layer of velvet black. It smells of smoke here too, but a different kind. It is the smell of charcoal, of rendered fat, of dried garlic and onions hanging from the rafters. It is a savory, heavy smell that triggers a deep, primal memory of safety. In the center of the room stands a masonry stove. It is a solid block of brick and stone, raised to waist height. On top of it sits a foculus, a portable iron brazier. Inside the brazier, a bed of charcoal is glowing. Look at the charcoal. It is not a roaring fire. It is a bed of embers. They are deep red, pulsating gently with heat. Pulse, pulse. A thin layer of white ash covers them, like a blanket of snow on a burning mountain. Occasionally, a piece of charcoal settles. Click. A few sparks rise up, tiny orange stars that float for a moment and then vanish into the darkness of the soot-covered ceiling. The heat from the embers is intense but localized. If you were to stand close, your face would feel flushed, but your back would remain cool. It is a cozy, intimate heat. An elderly woman sits on a low wooden stool near the stove. She is the night cook. Her job is not to prepare a feast, but to tend the fire and ensure the morning porridge, the pools, is ready for the household when they wake. She is wrapped in a shawl of dark brown wool. The wool is thick and pilled, worn soft by years of use. Her hair is gray, pulled back into a tight bun at the base of her neck. Her skin is wrinkled, mapping the history of her life like a landscape. Her hands rest in her lap. They are strong hands, stained slightly with flour and earth. On the brazier sits a heavy clay pot. It is round and squat with a lid that does not fit perfectly. Steam escapes from the gap in the lid. Hiss. It is a quiet, steady sound, a whisper of steam. Inside the pot, grains of spelt wheat are simmering in water. This is the staple food of the empire. It is simple, hearty, and warm. The woman reaches out and lifts the lid of the pot. A cloud of steam billows up, white and thick, vanishing into the shadows. She picks up a wooden spoon. The wood of the spoon is dark, almost black, stained by years of stirring stews and porridges. She stirs the pot. Watch the motion. It is slow, circular, swish, swish, swish. The thick liquid moves sluggishly. It is heavy. The grains scrape softly against the bottom of the clay pot. Scrape, scrape. She is not in a hurry. She is simply keeping it moving, preventing it from burning. The rhythm is hypnotic, round and round, over and over. The smell of the cooking grain fills the air. It is a nutty, earthy scent. It smells like a field of wheat baking in the summer sun, but transformed now into winter warmth. It is the smell of sustenance. She places the lid back on the pot. Clink. The sound of clay on clay is dull and muted. She places the spoon on a small ceramic dish. She leans back on her stool. She closes her eyes. She is not asleep, just resting, listening to the pot bubble. Bloop, bloop. Let us look around the kitchen. The shelves are lined with pottery. There are jars of all sizes. Some are tall and slender, meant for wine. Some are short and wide, meant for honey or garum. The pottery is not fine china. It is coarse, practical ware. The glaze is uneven. You can see the drip marks where the glaze ran down the side of the jar before it was fired. These imperfections make them beautiful. They feel real. In the corner, there are large terracotta containers called dolia. They are huge, almost as tall as a man. They are sunk partially into the ground to keep their contents cool. They hold the bulk supplies, grain, oil, dried beans. They stand like silent sentinels in the shadows. They represent security. As long as the dolia are full, the winter cannot hurt this house. Hanging from the ceiling beams are bunches of dried herbs: rosemary, thyme, sage, oregano. They are tied with bits of twine. They have dried into brittle gray-green bundles. The heat from the stove rises and warms them, releasing a faint, dusty perfume. It mixes with the smell of the charcoal. A cat is sleeping on top of a sack of flour in the corner. It is a tabby cat with stripes of gray and black. It is curled into a perfect circle. Its tail is tucked over its nose. The sack of flour is soft and molds to the cat's body. The cat is deeply asleep. Its belly rises and falls. It is the picture of comfort. In a Roman winter, every living thing seeks the warmest spot. The cat has found it. There is a small window in the kitchen, too. It is shuttered tight. But here, the wind sounds different. It whistles through a gap in the stone masonry. Wee. It is a high-pitched, thin sound. It contrasts with the deep, low rumble of the charcoal fire. The high note of the wind, the low note of the fire. A winter harmony. On the table there is a knife. It has an iron blade and a handle made of bone. The blade is dark gray, not shiny like modern steel. It has been sharpened many times, the edge curving inward. Beside the knife is a wooden cutting board. It is scarred with thousands of knife marks. Crisscrossing lines, a history of chopped vegetables. An onion skin, papery and thin, rests on the board. It rustles slightly when the woman moves. The light in the kitchen is different from the other room. It is redder, deeper because it comes from the embers. The shadows are softer, fuzzier. The corners of the room are lost in total darkness. We can only imagine what is there. A pile of firewood, a basket of turnips. The darkness hides the clutter. It simplifies the room. The woman opens her eyes again. She leans forward to check the fire. The embers are dimming slightly. She reaches into a metal bucket next to the stove. She picks up a pair of iron tongs. She selects a small piece of charcoal from the bucket. It is black and lightweight. She places it carefully onto the bed of embers. She does not just throw it, she places it. She looks for the perfect spot, a hollow in the red heat. She nestles the black lump into the red glow. She adds another piece, then another. She is feeding the heat. She picks up a fan made of woven straw. She waves it gently at the base of the brazier. Whoosh, whoosh, the air feeds the fire. The dull red embers suddenly glow bright orange. The heat intensifies. The new pieces of charcoal begin to crackle, snap. A tiny flame licks up. The light in the room brightens for a moment, illuminating the woman's face. We see the deep lines around her eyes, the calmness of her expression. Then the flame dies down, returning to a steady glow. She puts the fan down. The task is done. The fire is safe for another hour. Let us focus on the water container near the door. It is a large lead tank, encased in wood. Water is brought here from the well or the aqueduct. A small leak has formed at the spigot. A single drop of water forms. Watch the drop. It gathers slowly at the lip of the metal tap. It grows heavy, catching the red light of the fire. It hangs there for a second, defying gravity. Then it falls. Drip. It lands in a stone basin below. Ripples spread out in the basin, invisible in the dark, but we know they are there. Wait for the next drop. It takes time. Silence. The wind, the pot bubbling, the cat breathing. Then the drop forms, it swells, it trembles. Drip. This is the pacing of the night. There is no clock ticking here. There is only the rhythm of the water. Drip. The woman stands up slowly. Her joints are stiff. She places a hand on her lower back and stretches. She walks to the table. She picks up a ceramic cup. She dips it into the water basin. She takes a sip. The water is cool. She swallows. She places the cup back down. Clink. She walks back to the stool and sits. The wood of the stool groans slightly under her weight. She pulls the shawl tighter around her shoulders. She is settling in again. The texture of the walls in the kitchen is rougher than in the living quarters. The bricks are exposed in places. You can see the layers of clay, the mortar between them. The mortar is crumbly, sandy. If you touched it, grains of sand would stick to your finger. It is a utilitarian room. It is not built for beauty, it is built for work. But in this light, the rough textures look soft. The soot softens the hard edges. The darkness hides the grime. Imagine the grain inside the pot again, the spelt wheat. It was harvested months ago in the late summer. Men and women worked in the fields under the hot sun, cutting the stalks with sickles. They threshed the grain, separating the wheat from the chaff. They stored it in the great granaries. Now that summer labor is bubbling in a pot in the dead of winter. The energy of the sun is being released as heat and food. The liquid in the pot is thickening. It is becoming a creamy porridge. The bubbles are moving slower now. They rise to the surface with difficulty. Blup. Pause. Blup. It is almost ready to be moved to the side of the heat to stay warm until dawn. The woman knows this by the sound. She does not need to look. She has cooked this meal 1,000 times. She knows the sound of thin soup versus the sound of thick porridge. She leans forward and slides the pot slightly to the edge of the brazier, away from the direct heat of the center. The bubbling slows down. It becomes a gentle simmer. Everything is under control. The house is fed. The house is warm. A mouse scurries along the rafter high above. It is a tiny shadow moving quickly. The cat on the flour sack twitches an ear but does not wake up. The mouse disappears behind a bundle of dried oregano. It is looking for warmth, too. In this shelter, there is room for all these lives. The humans, the animals, the insects, all sharing the same stone box against the cold. Let your eyes drift to the floor. It is made of packed earth in the kitchen. Hard, dark earth. It has been swept clean. Over the years, it has become as hard as concrete. It is cool, but near the stove, it captures the radiated heat. The woman's feet are resting on a small wooden plank to keep them off the direct earth. There is a basket of apples in the corner. Winter apples. They are small, wrinkled, and bruised. They are not the shiny, perfect fruit of the summer, but they are sweet. The cold concentrates the sugar. A faint scent of apple skin hangs in the air, mixing with the smoke and herbs. It is a sweet, fermented smell. The shadows on the wall are still. The fire has settled into a steady burn. There is no flickering now, just a constant, low-level radiation of light. The room feels timeless. This scene could be happening in 50 BC or 100 AD. It could be in Gaul or Britannia or northern Italy. It is the universal experience of the hearth. The woman begins to hum. It is barely a sound, a low, vibrating tune. It has no words. It is just a melody she remembers from her childhood, perhaps. It is a lullaby for the porridge, a lullaby for the fire. Hum, hum, hum. It blends with the wind. It is a comforting human sound in the vast silence of the night. She stops humming. She sighs. She rests her chin in her hand. She stares into the red embers. What does she see there? Faces from the past, the landscape of her youth, or maybe she sees nothing. Maybe she is just watching the colors change as the charcoal consumes itself, from black to red to white ash, the cycle of the fire. We are drifting deeper into the night. The deepest part of the night is approaching, the time when even the owls are quiet, the time when the frost grows thicker on the window panes. But in here, the temperature is constant. The foculus does its job. The steam from the pot rises straight up now. There is no draft to disturb it. It forms a pillar of white mist that ascends to the soot-stained beams. It looks like a ghost, a spirit of the hearth. We stay here for a moment longer, just watching the steam, watching the red glow, listening to the drip, drip of the water. There is no need to move. There is no need to think. The kitchen is a safe harbor. The woman's breathing deepens. She is on the edge of sleep herself. Her head nods forward, then snaps back up. She blinks. She checks the pot. It is fine. She settles back. This is the twilight state, the space between waking and sleeping. It is a delicious, heavy feeling. The iron brazier gives a small tink sound as the metal cools slightly in one spot. The thermal expansion and contraction of the metal. It is the voice of the object. Even the iron speaks in the night. Outside, the snow is getting deeper. It presses against the door. It seals the cracks. It insulates the house. The world is soft and white and silent. Inside, the world is red and warm and shadowed. We have spent time with the fire. We have smelled the herbs and the smoke. We have felt the peace of the kitchen. Now it is time to move on, to explore another corner of this silent world, to see where the others are sleeping, to feel the quiet of the corridors. But for now, take one last look at the embers, the deep, glowing heart of the house. Hold that warmth in your mind. We leave the kitchen behind. The smell of the warm porridge and the wood smoke fades slowly as we walk down the corridor. The air here is different. It is fresher, cooler. It carries the scent of the night. We are moving towards the center of the house, the atrium. This is the heart of the Roman home. In the summer, it is a bustling place of business and conversation. But tonight, in the dead of winter, it is a cathedral of silence. It is a large, high-ceilinged space. There are no lamps burning here. The only light comes from the night sky itself. Look up. Above us, in the center of the ceiling, there is a large rectangular opening. This is the compluvium. It is a window to the heavens. Through this opening, we can see the heavy, dark clouds drifting slowly past. They are illuminated from above by a moon we cannot see, turning them a charcoal gray against the black void. And through this opening, the snow is falling. This is a strange and beautiful sight, snow falling inside a house. The flakes drift down from the open roof, spiraling in the gentle currents of air. They are white and soft, contrasting against the dark shadows of the room. They fall silently like feathers. Directly below the opening in the center of the floor is a shallow pool. This is the impluvium. Its purpose is to catch rainwater. Tonight it catches the snow. The water in the pool is dark like black ink. It is perfectly still. When a snowflake lands on the surface, it does not splash. It simply touches the water and vanishes. Melt. Let us stand here for a moment in the shelter of the colonnade that surrounds the pool. We are under a roof, protected. But a few feet away, the winter is entering the house. It is a controlled winter, a framed winter. The air in the atrium is cold, but it is a still cold. The walls of the house block the wind. Here, the cold feels clean and purifying. It wakes up the senses. It smells of ozone and wet stone. Surrounding the pool are 4 tall columns. They are made of limestone, fluted with vertical grooves that run from the base to the capital. The stone is cold to the touch. If you were to place your hand on it, you would feel the chill seep into your palm. But we do not need to touch it. We only need to look. The columns are painted at the bottom, a deep reddish-brown for the first few feet, and then unpainted white stone above. The paint is chipped in places, revealing the rougher stone underneath. These chips are not flaws, they are the marks of time. They show that this house has stood for generations. Let us walk slowly around the perimeter of the room. Our sandals make a soft slap sound on the floor. The floor here is different from the warm mosaic of the living quarters. Here it is opus signinum, a durable flooring made of crushed tiles and mortar, polished until it gleams. It is hard and waterproof. It reflects the faint light from the snow, creating ghostly shapes on the ground. On the walls of the atrium there are paintings, frescoes. In the daylight they are vibrant scenes of mythology, gods and goddesses, landscapes and gardens. But in this dim light they are muted. They are like dreams. We stop in front of one section of the wall. It depicts a garden. Even though it is winter outside, here on the wall it is eternal spring. There are painted trees with green leaves. There are painted birds sitting on branches. There is a painted fountain. The colors are faded now. Sage green, ochre yellow, burnt sienna. The plaster of the fresco is smooth. It was applied while wet, the pigments sinking deep into the lime. This technique means the painting is part of the wall itself, not just a layer on top. It has endured the damp and the cold. Look closely at a painted bird. It is a small sparrow. The artist painted it with just a few quick strokes of a brush 2,000 years ago. A dab of brown for the wing, a dot of black for the eye. The bird looks ready to fly, but it is frozen in plaster. It watches the real snow falling in the center of the room. The painted summer meets the real winter. Near the wall stands a heavy wooden chest, a arca. It is bound with iron bands and has a heavy bronze lock. This is where the family valuables are kept. It is locked tight. The iron is cold and dark. The wood is oak, darkened by age. It sits heavily on the floor, an anchor in the room. No one will open it tonight. The treasures inside, silver coins, linen documents, perhaps a gold ring, are sleeping in the dark. We continue our slow circle around the atrium. We come to a small niche in the wall. This is the Narration, the shrine of the household gods. This is the spiritual center of the home. The shrine is shaped like a tiny temple with miniature columns and a small pediment. Inside, there are small statues made of bronze and terracotta. These are the Lares, the guardian spirits of the family. They are depicted as young men, dancing, holding drinking horns high in the air. They look happy. They look energetic. But they are motionless statues, coated in a fine layer of dust. In front of the statues, there is a small altar. Earlier in the day, someone placed an offering here. A piece of salted cake, perhaps, or a few grains of incense. Now the incense has burned out. A small pile of gray ash remains on the altar. A thin wisp of smoke still lingers, faint and ghostly, curling up towards the ceiling. The smell is sweet and resinous, frankincense or myrrh. It mixes with the cold, clean smell of the snow. Below the statues, painted on the plaster of the niche, are two snakes. They are the guardian serpents. They slither towards a central altar in the painting. They represent fertility and protection. In the dark, they look alive. Their scales are painted in patterns of yellow and brown. They watch the house with unblinking painted eyes. This shrine is a reminder that the Romans were never truly alone. Their gods were always with them, in the corners of their rooms, on their shelves, in their cupboards. The house is crowded with invisible spirits, all resting now. We turn back towards the center of the room, towards the falling snow. The pile of snow in the impluvium is growing. It is slushy at the edges where it meets the water, but in the center, on a small raised island of stone, it is beginning to stack up, white on black. The sound of the snow falling is the quietest sound in the world. It is the sound of silence being added to silence. Hush, hush. Suddenly, a gust of wind blows over the roof opening. Whoosh! It swirls the snowflakes in the air. For a moment, it looks like a snow globe has been shaken. The flakes dance wildly, caught in the vortex. Then, the wind passes. The air settles. The flakes return to their slow, vertical descent. Across the atrium, in the shadows between two columns, something moves. Do not be alarmed. It is only a curtain moving in the draft. A heavy curtain woven with intricate patterns hangs over a doorway leading to a private room. The fabric is thick and heavy, perhaps imported from the east. It sways gently. Swish, swish. It breathes with the house. Let us sit on a marble bench near the wall. The marble is cold, so we sit on a cushion that has been left there. The cushion is filled with straw and covered in rough linen. It is comfortable enough. From here we have a perfect view of the falling snow. We are spectators in a theater of weather. The rest of the house is asleep. The soldier is by the fire. The cook is in the kitchen. We are alone in the atrium. Imagine the geometry of this space. The Romans loved order. The square hole in the roof aligns perfectly with the square pool on the floor. The columns are spaced evenly. The doors are symmetrical. Even in the dark, this order brings a sense of calm. The world outside may be chaotic and wild, but inside, everything is measured. Everything has its place. The darkness here is not frightening. It is a soft, blue-gray darkness. The light from the snow reflects off the white walls, creating an ambient glow that allows us to see shapes and outlines. It is a moonlight kind of light, even without the moon. On the floor near the pool there is a small toy, a child's toy. It is a wooden horse carved simply with wheels attached to the hooves. It has been left there, forgotten at the end of the day. It stands alone on the vast expanse of the floor. It looks small and vulnerable against the grandeur of the stone columns. It reminds us that children live here. They ran across this floor earlier, their laughter echoing off the high ceiling. Now they are asleep in the back rooms, warm under piles of blankets. The wooden horse waits for morning. Let us focus on the water in the impluvium again. A thin layer of ice is beginning to form at the corners. It is delicate like lace. Crystal patterns branching out across the black water. If you were to touch it, it would shatter instantly. But no one touches it. The ice grows, molecule by molecule, in the silence. The atmosphere here is melancholy but peaceful. It is the feeling of being awake when the rest of the world is asleep. It is a secret time. We can see the texture of the columns more clearly now as our eyes adjust to the low light. The limestone is not uniform. It has tiny fossils embedded in it. Small shells, ancient sea creatures, trapped in the stone millions of years ago. We are looking at a building made of ancient life. The history of the earth is in these walls. A drop of water falls from the edge of the roof opening. It missed the pool and lands on the stone floor. Plat. The sound echoes sharply in the empty hall, then silence returns. We stand up from the bench. Our movement is slow. We do not want to disturb the air. We wrap our imaginary cloak tighter around us. The cold is refreshing, but we are ready to find warmth again. We walk towards the back of the atrium. We pass a large table, a cartibulum made of marble with legs carved to look like griffins. It is purely decorative. On it sits a silver bowl. The silver is tarnished, dark and dull. It catches no light tonight. We approach a wide doorway at the rear. This leads to the tablinum, the office of the master of the house. We will not go in there yet. Instead, we will turn to the side into another corridor. This one is narrower, lower. It leads to the private sleeping quarters, the cubicula. As we enter this corridor, the ceiling drops. The vastness of the atrium is left behind. We are back in an enclosed space. The air immediately feels a little warmer, a little stiller. The sound of the wind and the open sky fades away. The walls here are plain, painted a creamy white to maximize the light during the day. But now they are gray corridors of shadow. There are doors on either side, wooden doors, solid and heavy. Behind each one is a person sleeping, a universe of dreams behind every plank of wood. We stop outside one of the doors. We can hear nothing. The wood is thick. The privacy is absolute. The Romans valued their public life, but they also guarded their private rest. There is a small niche in the wall of the corridor holding another oil lamp. This one is unlit. The oil has been saved. The wick is black and charred. A small spider is crawling across the rim of the lamp. It moves slowly, tentatively. It lifts one leg, then another. It is exploring the terrain of the terracotta. We watch the spider. It is in no rush. It has the whole night. It finds a spot near the handle of the lamp and stops. It curls its legs in. It becomes a small dark speck. It too is resting. The floor here is brick, laid in a herringbone pattern. Opus spiccatum. Zigzag, zigzag. The pattern repeats endlessly down the hall. It is a dizzying, repetitive design that soothes the mind. If you stare at it long enough, the bricks seem to merge into a single flowing river of clay. We are suspended in the middle of the night, the deepest part, the dead of night, as they say, but it is not dead. It is simply paused. The house is holding its breath. Let us lean against the wall of the corridor. The plaster is cool against our shoulder. We look back towards the atrium. We can just see the edge of the columns, the faint gray light of the snow-filled room. It looks like a stage set after the actors have gone home. Beautiful, empty, waiting. The contrast is what matters. The cold, open atrium versus the warm, closed rooms. The stone versus the wood. The light versus the dark. We are navigating these contrasts. We take a deep breath. The air in the corridor is dusty and dry. It smells of old wool and lavender that has been placed in the chests to keep moths away. It is a grandmotherly smell, a safe smell. We are drifting. The pacing is slow. There is no destination. We are just touring the sensations of the night. Imagine the weight of the roof above us. Thousands of terracotta tiles overlapping, heavy with snow. They protect us. They bear the weight of the winter so we don't have to. We are under a shield of baked clay. We begin to move again further down the corridor. Our destination is vague. Perhaps a storeroom, perhaps a workshop. Somewhere quiet, somewhere cluttered with the objects of daily life. As we walk, we count our steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rhythm is steady. The corridor seems to stretch on. In the dark, distances are distorted. A short hallway feels like a mile. A large room feels like a cave. We reach the end of the corridor. There is a heavy curtain here rather than a door. It is made of coarse wool, dyed a dark blue. It blocks the draft from the next room. We reach out a hand to push it aside. The wool is scratchy and thick. It feels heavy, like a blanket. We push through the curtain. The fabric drags over our shoulder. We step into the next space. This room is pitch black at first. We stand still, letting our eyes adjust. Slowly, shapes emerge from the gloom. This is a storeroom, a place of supplies. The air here smells intense, a mixture of leather, vinegar, and sawdust. There are no windows here. We are deep inside the house. The temperature is stable, not warm, not cold, just distinct. We can hear a faint scratching sound. Scritch, scritch. It is coming from inside a wall, perhaps a mouse, perhaps the house settling. It is a rhythm of the night. We will explore this room in detail. We will look at the tools, the jars, the sacks, but that is for the next moment. For now, we just stand in the doorway, breathing in the smell of leather and vinegar, feeling the stillness of the deep interior. We have survived the cold of the atrium. We have returned to the womb of the house. We are safe. The snow continues to fall outside, miles away from where we stand now. The impluvium is filling up. The white pile grows, but here in the dark there is no snow, only the quiet waiting of objects. Rest here, lean against the doorframe. Let the darkness wrap around you like a soft cloak. There is nothing to see, nothing to do, just be here. We are standing in the storeroom, the cellopan area. It is the darkest room we have entered so far. The heavy wool curtain behind us has fallen back into place, sealing out the faint gray light of the corridor. Here, the darkness is almost absolute. It is a physical weight pressing gently against the eyes. But total darkness is rare. As we stand here, waiting, our eyes begin to adjust. We start to see not with light, but with shadow. We distinguish the blacker-than-black shapes against the dark gray background. We navigate by memory and by instinct. The first thing that hits us is not a sight, but a smell. It is a thick, complex wall of scent. It is the smell of preservation, deep, sharp vinegar, salty brine, the resinous pine forest scent of pitch used to seal jars, the dry, dusty smell of burlap sacks, and underneath it all, the sweet, musky scent of dried apples and smoked meat. It is a delicious smell. It signals abundance. It signals that the winter will not win. Let us reach out a hand in the darkness. We move slowly, careful not to knock anything over. Our fingers brush against something rough and hairy. It is a sack, a large, heavy sack made of coarse hemp fibers. It is filled with lentils. Press your hand against the sack. It is solid like a rock, but it yields slightly under pressure. You can feel the thousands of tiny, hard lenses inside. Lentils from the fields of Egypt or Gaul traveled thousands of miles to sit in this dark room. They are dry. They are sleeping. They are potential energy, waiting for water and fire to wake them up. Next to the sack of lentils is another sack. This one feels different. The weave is tighter. The contents are finer. It is flour, wheat flour ground at the local mill. It feels soft, dense, and heavy. It has a dusty quality. If we were to pat it, a small cloud of white dust would rise up invisible in the dark. We move our hand further. We encounter a cold, smooth surface. It is curved. It is clay. We have found the amphorae. These are the iconic vessels of the Roman world. Tall, two-handled jars with a pointed bottom, resting in a wooden rack filled with sand to keep them upright. There is a whole row of them here, soldiers in a line. Let us trace the shape of one amphora. Start at the top. The rim is thick and rounded. It is sealed with a cork, and the cork is covered in black pitch, pine resin that has hardened into a glossy, waterproof seal. It feels tacky to the touch. Move your hand down the neck. It is slender, elegant. Then the handles, 2 loops of clay, strong and sturdy. Imagine the potter pulling these handles from a lump of wet clay, smoothing them with his wet thumb, attaching them to the body of the jar. That happened years ago. Now the clay is cool and hard as stone. Move down to the body of the jar. It swells out round and full. This amphora holds wine, not the fine Falernian wine of the rich, but a solid, sturdy table wine, vinum. It sits inside the clay darkness, aging slowly. The cold of the storeroom is good for it. It keeps the wine stable. Tap the side of the jar with your knuckle. Gently, thunk. It is a dull, heavy sound. It tells you the jar is full. A hollow jar would sound like clink. This one sounds like thunk. It is a satisfying sound, a sound of security. There are 20 of these jars lined up against the wall. 20 vessels of wine, oil, and fish sauce garum. The garum jars smell faintly of the sea. A sharp, umami scent that cuts through the darkness. It is the smell of distant oceans, brought inland to flavor the bland winter porridges. Let us move deeper into the room. We step carefully on the wooden floorboards, creak. The floor here is timber, raised slightly off the ground to keep the dampness away from the food. The wood is old, unfinished pine. It is splintery. It absorbs sound. In the corner there is a workbench. This is not just a pantry, it is a place of repair, a place where things are mended. Run your hand along the edge of the workbench. The wood is polished smooth, not by sandpaper but by decades of friction, by elbows leaning on it, by leather being dragged across it, by hands working. There are gouges in the wood, scars from slip-ups with a chisel or a knife. These scars are smooth now, worn down by time. On the bench, tools are laid out. They are resting for the night. Here is a hammer. The head is made of iron. It is cold, much colder than the wood. It is heavy and pitted with rust. The handle is made of ash wood shaped to fit a human hand. You can feel the indentations where the fingers grip. It balances perfectly in the palm. It is a simple tool, a weight on a stick. But it has built this shelf. It has mended the door. It has shod the horses. It is a tool of creation. Next to the hammer is a saw. It hangs from a nail on the wall. The blade is thin and flexible. The teeth are sharp, set in a jagged line. If you run your fingernail along them carefully, they make a zipping sound. Zip. The metal smells metallic and bloody, though it has only cut wood. It is the smell of iron oxide. There are scraps of leather on the bench, a torn sandal strap, a piece of a harness. A small pot of tallow stands nearby. Tallow is rendered animal fat, used to grease the leather to keep it supple in the cold. It smells greasy and animalistic. Someone was working here earlier. They left their work mid-task. A needle is stuck into a piece of leather, a thread of waxed linen trailing from it. It waits for the hand to return. The work is never finished. It is only paused. Listen to the silence in this room. It is different from the silence in the atrium. The atrium silence was vast and airy. This silence is stuffed. It is crowded. The objects in the room seem to absorb the noise. The sacks of grain, the wood, the wool, they act as soundproofing. If you were to shout in here, the sound would die instantly. Muff. But we do not shout. We barely breathe. We hear a tiny sound. Scratch, scratch. It is coming from behind the row of amphorae. A mouse, perhaps, or perhaps a beetle moving across the dry wood. It is a small life living in the shadow of the giants. It does not disturb us. In a Roman storeroom, mice are expected. They are part of the ecosystem. Let us look up. We cannot see the ceiling, but we know what is there. Beams of heavy oak. Hanging from hooks on these beams are more supplies. Sausages, lucanica. Chains of smoked meat encased in intestine. They hang like heavy ropes. They are dry and wrinkled. They smell of smoke and peppercorns and fennel seed. They are slowly curring in the cool air. Bunches of garlic. The papery skins rustle in the slightest draft. Crinkle, crinkle. They are white bulbs tied together by their dried stalks. They are pungent. They ward off sickness. They flavor the food. They are simple magic. And bundles of dried herbs, similar to the kitchen but in larger quantities here. Great bushes of sage and rosemary, drying upside down. They look like strange, dead, inverted trees in the darkness. There is a barrel in the corner. It is made of wooden staves bound with iron hoops. It is open at the top. Inside, packed in layers of coarse salt, is fish. Salted fish. It is a way to cheat time, to eat the summer catch in the winter snow. The salt sparkles faintly even in the dark. It is harsh and crystalline. We lean against the workbench. The edge of the wood presses into our lower back. It grounds us. Think about the concept of enough. In this room there is enough. Enough food to last the winter. Enough oil to light the lamps. Enough wool to mend the clothes. This room is the answer to anxiety. It is the fortress against hunger. To a Roman, this room is wealth. Not gold or jewels, but this. Grain, oil, wine, wood, the basics of survival. Let your eyes drift to the floor again. There is a small basket near your feet. It is woven from willow branches, wickerwork. The pattern is intricate over, under, over, under. Inside the basket are onions. Yellow onions with flaky skins. One has rolled out onto the floor. It lies there, a perfect sphere. The air here is very still. Dust motes hang suspended, motionless. If we had a light, we would see them. But in the dark, we only feel the stillness. It is a suspended animation. We move slowly towards the back of the room. The space is narrow between the shelves. We have to turn our bodies sideways to pass between a stack of crates and a pile of rugs. The rugs are rolled up, tied with rope. They are thick, hairy wool rugs, perhaps meant for the floor of a tent or a drafty hallway. They smell of sheep and lanolin. We reach the back wall. It is rough stone, unplastered. You can feel the cold radiating from it. This wall faces the outside. Just on the other side of these stones is the snow, the wind, the freezing night. Put your hand on the stone. It is icy. It numbs your fingertips. Now put your hand on a sack of flour. It feels relatively warm. The contrast is sharp. The house is fighting the cold inch by inch. The storeroom is the buffer zone. There is a small ventilation slit high up in the wall. It is narrow, meant to let air in to prevent mold but keep thieves out. A draft of freezing air pours through it like a liquid. It falls down the wall, cooling the wine jars. You can feel the stream of cold air on your face. It wakes you up. It smells of clean snow. We turn away from the cold wall. We face the interior of the room again. Imagine the person who organized this room, the steward, the methodical mind that placed the lentils next to the flour, the mind that hung the sausages high to keep them away from the rats, the mind that counted every jar. This room is a map of someone's mind, a map of order. There is a box on a lower shelf. It is a wooden box with a sliding lid. Let us slide it open. SHHH clack. Inside there are candles, not oil lamps, but candles made of tallow and beeswax. They are creamy white, cylindrical with a wick of papyrus. They are emergency lights. If the oil runs out, the candles will burn. They smell of honey and fat. We close the box. Clack SHHH. Leave them for an emergency. We are bored in a good way. There is nothing to stimulate us here. No bright colors, no loud noises, just the endless inventory of static objects. Amphora sack barrel box, amphora sack barrel box. Repeat it like a mantra. The repetition is soothing. It is the rhythm of stability. We sit down on a low crate. It is sturdy. We rest our elbows on our knees. We are surrounded by the silent guardians of the house. The darkness seems to pulse slowly, expanding and contracting with your own heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. You are safe here. You are hidden. No one knows you are in the storeroom. You are a ghost visiting the pantry. Let's look at the floorboards again. In the darkness, you can't see the grain, but you can feel the texture with your feet if you were barefoot, or hear the subtle shift in sound. The wood is pine. It was cut from a forest that no longer exists, a Roman forest. The trees were felled by axes, dragged by oxen, sawed by hand. All that energy, all that noise is now silent in these planks. Everything in this room has a history of labor. The farmer, the potter, the weaver, the smith, the carpenter. Their work is gathered here resting. We hear the wind outside again. It gusts harder for a moment. Woo-woo. It sounds angry, it wants to come in. It wants to freeze the lentils and crack the jars. But the stone walls say no. The roof says no. The room holds. The sound of the wind makes the silence inside feel even deeper, more precious. We stay here for a long time, just sitting on the crate, smelling the vinegar, listening to the mouse, feeling the cold draft from the vent. There is a spider web in the corner between a jar and the wall. We cannot see it, but we know it is there. A masterpiece of engineering, invisible in the dark. The spider is waiting for a moth. We are waiting for nothing. This is the essence of the boring history. It is not about the emperors or the battles. It is about the quiet moments in a dark room, smelling dried apples. It is about the reality of life that is 99% waiting and 1% action. The Roman Empire was built on this, on storerooms, on logistics, on the ability to store calories for the winter. This room is the foundation of civilization. We stand up slowly, our knees crack, pop. The sound is loud in the quiet room, we stretch. We are ready to move again, to find a place that is a little less dark, a little more warm. We navigate back through the maze of supplies, past the rugs, past the workbench, past the amphory. We reach the heavy wool curtain at the entrance. We pause with our hand on the curtain. We look back into the darkness one last time. We salute the silence. We salute the sacks of grain. Sleep well, we think to the objects. We will need you tomorrow. We push the curtain aside. The faint gray light of the corridor seems bright now. We step out. The curtain falls back. Whump. The storeroom is sealed again, left to its secrets, left to the mouse and the spider. We are back in the corridor. The air is fresher here, less dusty. We turn to the right, continuing our journey deeper into the Roman night. There are more rooms to see, more quiet to find. But the feeling of the storeroom stays with us. The feeling of weight, of substance, of being grounded. We walk slowly down the hall. The brick floor pattern zigzag, zigzag guides us. We are moving towards a different kind of sound, a sound of water, a sound of heat. We are moving towards the baths. But that is ahead of us. For now, just feel the transition. From the heavy, stuffed darkness of the pantry to the linear, gray darkness of the hallway. 1 step, 2 steps. The house is a sleeping organism. We are moving through its veins. We leave the dry, dusty air of the corridor behind. We approach a heavy wooden door. It is thicker than the others, built to keep the heat inside. The wood is swollen slightly from the humidity. There is no latch, just a heavy bronze ring. We push the door open. It swings inward with a heavy, muffled sound. Thump. Immediately, the atmosphere changes. We have entered the Atrium, the changing room. The air here is warmer than the corridor, but not yet hot. It serves as a transition zone, a place to prepare the body and the mind for the heat that lies ahead. The room is small and square. The walls are painted a pale yellow, a cheerful color that looks soft in the dim light. Along the walls at eye level are square niches carved into the stone. These are the loculi, the lockers of the ancient world. Let us look at the niches. Most are empty, dark little caves of shadow, but one contains a neatly folded pile of clothes, a tunic of green wool, a leather belt, a cloak. They belong to someone who is already inside, or perhaps someone who left them there for the morning. The clothes sit in the niche, waiting. They are shapes of a person without the person. Below the niches runs a wooden bench. It is polished smooth by the backsides of many bathers. We sit on the bench for a moment. It is solid. It grounds us. On the floor there is a pair of wooden sandals. Not the leather ones for walking outside, but solely with raised wooden soles, designed to protect the feet from the hot floors of the inner rooms. They sit side by side, slightly askew. One is tipped forward. It looks like they were kicked off casually. There is a smell here. It is the smell of olive oil used to cleanse the skin. It is a green, fatty smell. Mixed with it is the scent of damp stone and a faint hint of lavender. It is a spa smell, a smell that triggers a reflex to relax. We do not stay long in the changing room. The warmth from the next room is calling to us. We stand up. We leave the wooden sandals where they are. We walk barefoot towards the arched doorway that leads deeper into the suite. We step into the tepidarium, the warm room. Here the heat is palpable. It is not an aggressive heat. It is a gentle, enveloping warmth. It feels like a summer evening in the middle of winter. The air is dry, radiantly heated by the floor and walls. The floor is a masterpiece. It is warm to the touch. Underneath our feet, the hypocaust is working its magic. Hot air from the furnace circulates through the hollow bricks below. The heat rises through the mosaic tiles, warming the soles of your feet. It is a delightful sensation. The cold of the snow outside feels like a distant memory, a story told by someone else. The room is empty of furniture, save for a single marble chair with curved legs. The marble is white, veined with gray. It looks cold, but it has absorbed the ambient heat of the room. It is warm to the touch. Let us sit on the marble chair. It is hard, unyielding, but the warmth makes it comfortable. We lean back. The wall behind us is also warm. This is because the walls are hollow, lined with tubuli, rectangular clay pipes that carry the hot air up the sides of the room. We are sitting inside a chimney, essentially, but a chimney designed for comfort. The light in the tepidarium comes from a single oil lamp sitting in a niche. The flame is steady. There are no drafts here to make it flicker. The air is still. The light reflects off the polished marble walls, creating soft pools of amber luminescence. We simply sit. We feel the heat entering our muscles. The tension in the shoulders begins to melt. The tightness in the jaw releases. The body understands this language. Heat equals safety. Heat equals rest. There is a faint sound. Click, tick. It is the sound of the ceramic tiles expanding and contracting microscopically as the temperature shifts. The building is breathing. We look at the ceiling. It is vaulted, a curved arch of plaster. It is painted blue with small gold stars. A starry night sky indoors. The steam from the next room drifts in here, creating a thin haze near the ceiling. The painted stars look misty, like they are behind a cloud. We are acclimatizing. The Romans believed in gradual transitions. You do not go from cold to hot instantly. You pass through the warm room. You let the body adjust. We are adjusting. Now we are ready for the heart of the bath, the caldarium, the hot room. We walk through another archway. The air hits us immediately. It is hot, steamy, humid. The temperature is high enough to make you sweat. The air is thick with moisture. It feels heavy in the lungs, but in a good way. It clears the sinuses. It softens the skin. This room is the brightest of the suite. Not because there are more lamps, but because the walls are covered in white marble that reflects every photon of light. And there is water. In the center of the room is a large, rectangular basin sunken into the floor, the alveus, the hot plunge bath. The water is steaming. Clouds of white vapor rise from the surface, curling and twisting in the air. The steam moves in slow motion. It is thick, lazy steam. It obscures the far wall. It creates a dreamlike atmosphere where edges are blurred and distances are hard to judge. We walk to the edge of the bath. The rim is made of smooth stone. We sit on the edge. The heat radiating from the water warms our face. Look at the water. It is clear, but it looks dark because of the depth. The light from the oil lamps dances on the surface. Ripples move across the water, bouncing off the sides of the basin. Lap, lap, lap. The sound of the water against the stone is the most soothing sound in the world. It is a gentle, rhythmic splashing. It mimics the sound of a calm sea or a slow river. There is a small fountain at one end of the basin, a bronze lion's head spout. A thin stream of hot water pours from the lion's mouth into the bath. Splish and splish and splish. The water falls in a continuous glassy thread. It breaks the surface of the pool, creating a circle of ripples that expand outward. We watch the ripples. They start small, then grow wide, then fade into nothingness. Circle after circle, endless geometry. The steam rises and hits the vaulted ceiling. There it condenses. Tiny droplets of water form on the plaster. They cling to the ceiling, defying gravity for a moment. They grow larger. They become heavy. Watch one droplet. It is a tiny jewel reflecting the room upside down. It trembles. Then it falls. Plip. It lands in the water below, or perhaps on the wet stone floor. The sound is high-pitched and sharp, cutting through the low hum of the room. Plip, silence and plip. The acoustics in here are very lively. The hard surfaces, marble, stone, water, make every sound echo. The plip sound bounces around the room. It sounds like there are tiny bells ringing softly. The air smells intensely of water. It is a clean, mineral smell. The water comes from a spring deep underground. It carries the scent of the earth's crust. Sulfur, limestone, iron. It is healing water. We slide our hand into the water. It is hot, not scalding but comfortably hot. The heat rushes into the fingers. We swirl our hands slowly. The water resists. We make a small whirlpool. It spins, catching the light, then dissolves when we stop. There is a strigil lying on the side of the bath. It is a curved bronze tool used for scraping oil and dirt from the skin. It is dull bronze, greenish in the crevices. It looks like a sculptural object. It rests there, abandoned. Imagine the sensation of being in this room. The sweat beading on your forehead. The dampness of the air making your clothes, if you were wearing them, stick to your skin. The feeling of heavy relaxation. The heat penetrates deep into the bones. It thaws the marrow. In the corner there is a large basin of cold water on a pedestal. The labrum. It is there for bathers to splash on their faces if the heat becomes too much. The water in the labrum is perfectly still. It acts like a mirror. It reflects the ceiling. It reflects the steam. It reflects the silence. We look at the condensation running down the walls. Rivulets of water trace paths through the steam. They look like tears on the face of the marble. They move erratically. One stream merges with another. They pick up speed, then slow down. It is a race with no winners, just gravity and water. The steam swirls around us. Sometimes it parts, revealing a corner of the room. Sometimes it closes in, and we can only see a few feet in front of us. It is like being inside a cloud. We are isolated. The rest of the house feels miles away. The snow outside feels like a different planet. Here, there is only the tropical microclimate of the caldarium. We lean back against a pillar. The stone is wet and warm. We close our eyes. We listen to the symphony of the bath. The low rumble of the furnace beneath the floor. MMMMRRRMMM. The hiss of the steam. HSSSSS. The splash of the fountain. Splish. The drip of the condensation. Plip. It is a white noise machine, engineered by Romans 2 millennia ago. It is perfect. It blocks out thoughts. It washes away anxiety. There is a sponge sitting on the floor, a natural sea sponge. It is brown and porous. It is saturated with water. It looks heavy. It is a piece of the ocean resting on a Roman floor. Its complex texture, holes within holes, is fascinating to look at. It is chaos, but soft chaos. The light in the room is shifting slightly as the steam moves. Shadows lengthen and shorten. The room feels alive. It is breathing steam. We are bored, wonderfully, beautifully bored. There is no task here. The only goal is to get warm, and we are warm. We are very warm. Think about the engineering required to make this room possible. Slaves chopping wood in the forest, carts hauling the wood, the furnace tender shoveling fuel all night, the architects designing the airflow, the masons laying the waterproof mortar. All that effort just so we can sit here and watch a drop of water fall. It is the ultimate luxury. The steam softens the light. It creates a halo effect around the oil lamps. The flames look like glowing orbs floating in the mist. It is magical and sleepy. We watch the surface of the water in the bath again. The lion's mouth pours endlessly. It never gets tired. It never pauses. It is a constant variable. Splish and splish and splish. If you count the splashes, you will lose count. They blend together. They become a texture of sound. We feel the humidity in our lungs. Every breath is warm. It moistens the throat. It feels healing. We take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out slowly. The breath comes out as invisible air merging with the visible steam. We are part of the room now. We are just another warm object in the caldarium. Let us move our gaze to the floor tiles. They are small white hexagons. They are wet. They glisten. Between the tiles, the grout is gray. Some of the grout is darkened by moisture. We trace the pattern of the hexagons with our eyes. Honeycomb, honeycomb, honeycomb. The pattern repeats wall to wall. It is orderly. It is precise. A small beetle has wandered in. It is crawling along the edge of the wall, far from the water. It moves slowly in the heat. It stops. It cleans its antennae. It continues. It is a traveler in the steam. The heat makes us feel heavy. Our eyelids feel like lead. The muscles in our neck loosen completely. We slump slightly against the pillar. This is the state of odium, leisure, but not lazy leisure, productive leisure. We are restoring our energy. The water in the labrum, the cold basin, catches a sudden flare from a lamp. A flash of gold appears in the dark water, then vanishes. A brief spark in the gloom. We have spent a long time here. The heat has soaked through to our core. We are no longer winter creatures. We are creatures of the steam. But we cannot stay in the heat forever. The balance must be maintained. We need to cool down slightly. We need to find a place to dry off. We stand up slowly. The blood rushes to our head, making us feel dizzy for a split second. A pleasant dizziness. We steady ourselves on the wet pillar. We look back at the bath. The water is still churning gently. The steam is still rising. The lion is still spitting water. It will continue all night, even when no one is watching. The room performs for itself. We turn away from the alveus. We walk back towards the archway. We move through the steam, pushing it aside like a curtain. We step back into the tepidarium, the warm room. It feels cooler now by comparison, but still warm. The air is clearer. We can see the stars on the ceiling again. We walk through the tepidarium. We feel the heat radiating from the floor one last time. We enter the apoditerium, the changing room. The air here feels brisk now, refreshing. The smell of oil and lavender greets us again. We sit on the bench for a moment, just to transition. We look at the wooden sandals. We look at the folded green tunic. We are clean, we are warm, we are relaxed. Now we are ready to leave the bath suite. We are ready to return to the rest of the house, but we carry the warmth with us. It is stored in our skin. We walk to the heavy wooden door. We pull it open, creak. We step out into the corridor. The cold air of the hallway hits us. It feels shocking at first, then invigorating. The contrast is sharp, hot and cold, steam and dust. We close the door behind us. Thump. The sound of the splashing water is cut off instantly. We are back in the silence of the corridor. But we are different now. We are slower, we are softer. The bath has done its work. We turn to the left. We walk down the corridor. Our destination is the library, the bibliotheca, a place of dry paper and quiet thoughts, a place to rest the mind after resting the body. The journey continues, one slow step at a time. The house stretches out before us, a labyrinth of shadows and silence. We step across the threshold into the bibliotheca. The transition is immediate. We have left the humid, echoing world of the baths and the cold, drafty corridors. Here, the air is incredibly dry. It feels crisp in the nostrils. It is a preserved atmosphere, maintained carefully to protect the fragile treasures inside this room. This is the library. It is not a grand public hall with marble columns. It is a private study, a small room tucked away in the quietest corner of the house. It is a sanctuary for the mind. The first thing you notice is the smell. It is one of the most distinct and pleasing scents of the ancient world. It is the smell of cedar wood. The walls are lined with cabinets made of cedar, and the wood releases a rich, spicy, resinous aroma. The Romans knew that cedar oil repels moths and bookworms, so this room is saturated with it. Underneath the cedar, there is the smell of old papyrus, a dry, grassy, slightly dusty scent, and faintly the smell of beeswax and ink. It is the perfume of knowledge. The room is small. It is designed to be cozy. In the center sits a heavy wooden desk cluttered with objects. Against the walls stand the armaria, the bookcases, but there are no books as we know them. There are no spines, no hardcovers. Instead, the shelves are filled with scrolls, volumina. Let us look at the armaria. They are beautiful pieces of furniture, wood polished to a deep mahogany shine. The doors of the cabinets are open, revealing the honeycomb-like shelves inside. In each cubbyhole, a scroll is resting on its side. They look like honeycomb cells filled with rolled-up paper, hundreds of them. Each scroll is a cylinder of papyrus rolled tight. Extending from the center of each roll is a small wooden stick, the umbilicus, and hanging from the end of each stick is a small tag, a titulus. The tags are made of parchment or leather. They dangle from the shelves like little leaves. They are painted with red or black ink, identifying the work. Virgil, Livy, Plato, agricultural records. Watch the tags, they are perfectly still. There is no draft in this room. The air is stagnant, heavy, and protective. The tags hang straight down, obeying gravity. They are the index of the room, a forest of names waiting to be read. At the desk sits a man. He is the grammaticus, the household scholar or tutor. He is an older man with a beard that is more white than gray. He is wearing a simple tunic, darker than the soldiers', perhaps a deep navy blue. He is asleep. His head rests on his folded arms on the desk. His breathing is deep and slow. H-H-H-H, S-H-H-H, H-H-H-H, S-H-H-H. His back rises and falls gently. He has succumbed to the quiet of the winter night. The text he was reading was too long, the hour too late, the room too warm. We will not wake him. We are ghosts here. We will simply observe his world. On the desk, illuminated by the soft glow of a bronze lamp, lies an open scroll. It is halfway unrolled. The papyrus is a warm, golden yellow color. It is made of strips of the reed plant pressed together in a grid pattern. If you look very closely, you can see the texture, the horizontal lines of the fibers on the front, the vertical lines on the back. It is a natural, organic material. It feels alive. The writing on the scroll is in columns, paginae. The ink is black, stark against the yellow fiber. The letters are capital block letters, written without spaces between the words. Scriptiontinua. It looks like a solid block of code. To read it requires focus. It requires speaking the words out loud to separate them. But now there is silence. The words are locked in the ink. Next to the scroll is the inkwell, the Atrium. It is a small double pot made of bronze. One side holds black ink, the other red. The black ink is made from soot, gum, and water. It is dark and opaque, like a tiny pool of night. The surface of the ink has dried slightly, forming a thin skin. It glistens in the lamplight. Beside the inkwell lies a pen, a calamus. It is a reed, sharpened to a point and split at the tip to hold the ink. The tip is stained black. It rests on the wood of the desk, waiting for the hand to pick it up again. It is a humble tool, a piece of dried grass that records history. Let us move around the desk, quietly. The floor here is covered with a thick wool rug to dampen sound. Our footsteps are silent. We see a stack of wooden tablets, tabulae. These are the notebooks of the Roman world. They are rectangular pieces of wood with a recessed center filled with black beeswax. They are bound together with leather thongs. One tablet is open. The wax is scarred with scratches. Someone has been writing notes, practicing Greek verbs, or calculating expenses. The writing is gray against the black wax. A metal stylus lies next to it. One end is sharp for writing, the other end is flat for erasing. To erase, you simply smooth the wax with the flat end. Think of the impermanence of the wax. A thought is written, then smoothed away forever. The wax remembers nothing. It is a reusable surface, but the scrolls on the shelves, they are permanent. They are meant to last for centuries. The contrast between the temporary wax and the eternal papyrus is the story of this room. The light in the library is very focused. The lamp on the desk is shaped like a foot wearing a sandal. It is a bit of Roman humor. The flame comes out of the big toe. It casts a pool of light on the scholar's sleeping head and the open scroll. The rest of the room falls away into deep shadow. The corners of the room are mysteries. Dust motes dance in the cone of light above the lamp. They move in slow, Brownian motion. Up, down, sideways. They are mesmerizing. They are tiny pieces of the world, fabric fibers, skin cells, dust from the road, floating in the stillness. Swirl, float, swirl. The silence here is heavy. It is a library silence. It feels different from the silence of the storeroom. The storeroom silence was empty. This silence feels full. It is the silence of 1,000 voices trapped in the scrolls, waiting for a reader to release them. The scholar shifts in his sleep. He murmurs something unintelligible. Mon, he adjusts his arm. The wood of the desk creaks softly. Irk. Then he settles back down. The rhythm of his breathing resumes. We look at his hands. They are stained with ink. The index finger and middle finger of his right hand have a permanent dark smudge, the mark of his trade. His skin is like parchment itself, thin, dry, covered in fine lines. There is a window in this room, but it is covered by a heavy tapestry rather than just a shutter. The tapestry depicts a scene of Minerva, the goddess of wisdom. The fabric is thick, insulating the room from the cold glass or mica of the window. We cannot hear the wind here. The insulation is too good. We are in a capsule of thought. Let your eyes trace the grain of the wood on the cedar cabinets. Swirls and knots, dark red, light brown, deep amber. The wood is polished to a glass-like finish. It reflects the single flame of the lamp. A tiny, distorted orange star appears on the door of each cabinet. The room feels timeless. This could be a library in Alexandria, in Athens, in Rome. The tools of reading have not changed for centuries. The quiet is the same. In the corner on a pedestal is a bust. It is a marble head of a philosopher, perhaps Epicurus or Zeno. The marble is white, cool, and staring. The eyes are blank, carved without pupils. The philosopher watches the sleeping scholar, stone watching flesh. The stone is awake, the flesh is asleep. We lean in closer to the open scroll. We try to read a few letters. Armaviriumque, Arms and the Man. It is the Aeneid, the great epic of Rome, a story of travel, of war, of winter storms. But here it is just ink on plant fiber. The storm is trapped in the roll. The papyrus has a fraying edge. A tiny fiber sticks out. It trembles slightly from the heat rising off the lamp. It is the only movement in the room besides the dust. We feel a sense of peace here. There is no urgency to learn. The knowledge will be here tomorrow. The library is patient. It does not demand attention. It simply holds space. There is a small bowl of sand on the desk. It is used to dry the ink on the papyrus. The sand is fine, glittering silica. It looks like a miniature desert in a bowl. We look at the shadows cast by the armaria. They are long, rectangular blocks of darkness stretching across the rug. They look like the keys of a giant piano. The atmosphere is dry, warm, and woody. It is a soporific atmosphere. It makes you want to curl up in a chair and close your eyes. It is the perfect place for a nap. The scholar has the right idea. Imagine the sound of unrolling a scroll. Crinkle, rustle, snap. The dry papyrus is brittle. It makes a distinct sound like dry leaves stepping on pavement. But now it is silent. The scroll is held open by a lead weight. A small, dull gray weight shaped like a turtle. It sits on the edge of the papyrus, holding the page flat. We watch the turtle wait. It is heavy. It is doing its job, holding the story in place. The air in the room is slowly getting stuffier. The cedar scent is intensifying as the room stays closed. It is a heady, drowsy smell. It fills the lungs and slows the heart rate. We back away from the desk. We do not want to disturb the dust. We do not want to wake the scholar. He needs his rest. Tomorrow he will teach the children. Tomorrow he will write letters. Tonight he travels in his dreams. We look at the ceiling. It is coffered, divided into sunken square panels. The centers of the panels are painted a dark midnight blue. It absorbs the light. It makes the ceiling feel higher, like the night sky. We are bored. The library is static. Nothing is happening, and that is why it is beautiful. It is a still life painting come to life. Natura morta. We stand by the door for a moment, taking it all in. The rows of scrolls, the sleeping man, the dancing dust, the smell of cedar. It is a temple of memory. We turn to leave. We step back out into the corridor. The door closes behind us. Click, the latch catches. The dryness is cut off. We are back in the hallway. The air is cooler again. The smell of cedar fades, replaced by the smell of the stone house. We have visited the mind of the house. Now, we must visit the stomach again, or perhaps the place where the family gathers. We walk further down the hall. The light is dim. We are moving towards the Triclinium, the dining room, but the feast is over. The room will be empty. We will see the aftermath of the evening, the quiet after the meal. Our steps are slow. We are heavy with sleepiness. The library has infected us with its calm. We move past a window in the corridor. We stop. We look at the shutter. A small crack lets in a beam of moonlight. The clouds must have broken. A single, thin ray of silver light cuts across the darkness of the hall. It illuminates particles of dust in the air. We watch the beam of moonlight. It is cold light, blue light. It contrasts with the warm orange light of the library we just left. We are between worlds. The warm, intellectual world of the books and the cold, elemental world of the winter night. We continue walking. We are walking towards the dining room. We move softly into the Triclinium. This is the room where the evening began, where the noise was loudest, where the wine flowed. But now the guests have gone. The family has retired to their sleeping quarters. The room is left to settle into the silence of the night. The air here feels different from the library. It is not dry and woody. It is heavy and rich. It holds the lingering ghost of the meal. The scent is a complex bouquet. The sharp tang of spilled wine, the savory remnants of roasted pork, the sweet perfume of honey cakes, and the underlying wisp of lamp oil. It is the smell of satiety, the smell of enough. The room is dominated by the furniture. 3 large couches, the lecti, are arranged in a U-shape around a central table. This arrangement allowed the servers to access the table from the open side. Let us approach the couch on the left. It is a broad, wooden platform with a headboard inlaid with bronze. On top of the wood lies a mattress stuffed with straw and wool. It is covered with a heavy tapestry of deep crimson. Look at the cushions. They are indented. You can see the hollows where elbows rested, where bodies leaned. The fabric is wrinkled. These are the physical imprints of conversation. A Roman citizen lay here, eating, laughing, debating. Now only the shape remains in the wool. We run a hand over the fabric. It is expensive wool, dyed with madder root. It is soft but textured. It is still faintly warm, holding the body heat of the diner who left an hour ago. On the central table, which is low and round, made of polished citrus wood, there is a single goblet left behind. It is made of blue glass. It sits alone on the shiny surface. We lean in to look at the goblet. There is a tiny amount of wine left in the bottom, a dark purple pool. It catches the reflection of the one remaining lamp on a stand nearby. The wine is still. No ripples. It has settled. Beside the goblet is a linen napkin, a mappa. It is crumpled, stained with a spot of red sauce. It lies casually on the table, discarded. It looks like a small, white sculpture of chaos against the perfect order of the room. The floor of the dining room is a work of art. It is a mosaic, but a playful one. It depicts food scraps. It is a popular Roman design called the Atrium, or unswept floor. Look closely at the tiles. Here is a mosaic picture of a chicken bone. There is a picture of a chestnut shell. There is a picture of a grape stalk. They are rendered in tiny colored stones, so realistic that in the dim light you might try to sweep them up. But they are part of the floor. It is a permanent illusion of a feast. Tonight, however, there are real crumbs mixed with the stone ones. A real piece of bread crust lies next to the mosaic bone. A real olive pit lies next to the mosaic grape. The art mimics reality, and reality mimics the art. The shadows in the corners of the room are deep. The red walls seem to absorb the light, making the room feel intimate and enclosed. The paintings on the walls depict scenes of the harvest, baskets of fruit, rabbits, fish. They are bountiful images, celebrating the food that was just eaten. We hear a sound, clink, clink. A young slave enters the room. He is moving quietly, carrying a tray. He is clearing the last of the table. He picks up the blue glass goblet. He picks up the crumpled napkin. He wipes the table with a cloth. Swish. The movement is circular and practiced. He does not look up. He is tired. He wants to finish his work and go to sleep. He moves like a shadow. He takes the tray and leaves the room. The sound of his footsteps fades away. Now the room is truly empty. The table is bare. The wood gleams in the semi-darkness. We walk to the open side of the U-shaped arrangement. We stand where the server stood. We look out at the couches. It feels like a theater stage after the play is finished. The actors have gone. The props remain. There is a draft coming from the far end of the room. The Triclinium opens onto the peristylum, the colonnaded garden courtyard. Large wooden doors are usually folded back to allow a view of the garden, but tonight they are pulled shut against the winter. However, there is a gap between the doors. We walk towards them. We can feel the cold air seeping through the crack. It kisses our ankles. It is a reminder that the warm bubble of the dining room is surrounded by freezing air. We peek through the crack in the doors. Outside in the garden, it is a different world. It is a world of blue and white. The snow has covered the garden completely. The neatly trimmed hedges of boxwood are now just white mounds. The rose bushes are sticks wrapped in ice. In the center of the garden stands a fountain. It is turned off for the winter to prevent the pipes from bursting. The basin is filled with snow. A statue of a nymph stands in the middle, wearing a new cloak of white snow on her shoulders. She looks cold. She looks beautiful. The moonlight has broken through the clouds more fully now. It floods the garden with a spectral, silver light. It reflects off the snow, making the garden brighter than the room we are standing in. It is a silent, frozen landscape. We turn back to the warm, dark room. The contrast is jarring. The garden is wild nature. The dining room is civilized comfort. We return to the couches. We sit down on the edge of the central couch. The mattress sinks under our weight. It creaks softly. Creak. We look up at the ceiling. It is elaborate with gilded beams. In the flickering light of the last dying lamp, the gold glints faintly. A spark here, a spark there, like stars that are burning out. A fly buzzes lazily near the ceiling. Bzzz. It is sluggish from the cold that is slowly creeping in as the heating brazier in the corner burns down to ash. The fly lands on a beam and stops. Silence returns. The smell of the wine is settling. It is becoming stale, merging with the smell of the room itself. The event is receding into the past. The energy of the dinner party is dissipating, absorbed by the walls. We trace the pattern on the armrest of the couch. It is carved in the shape of a horse's head. The wood is smooth, worn by nervous fingers stroking it during conversations. We stroke it now. It feels cool and solid. There is a sense of melancholy in an empty dining room. It is a space built for noise and company. When it is silent, it feels larger than it is. It feels expectant. But there is also peace. The social obligations are over. The mask of politeness can be dropped. The room can just be a room. The lamp in the corner is sputtering. The oil is almost gone. The flame jumps. Flare. Dim. Flare. Shadows leap up the walls, growing tall and then shrinking. It is a slow, rhythmic dance of light and dark. We watch the flame. It is fighting to stay alive, but it is losing. The blue base of the flame grows larger. The yellow tip shrinks. Puff! The flame goes out. For a moment, we are in total darkness. Then, our eyes adjust to the silver moonlight filtering through the crack in the garden doors. The room is now painted in shades of gray and black. The red walls look black. The gold ceiling looks gray. The temperature seems to drop instantly with the light. It is psychological mostly, but we feel it. The room is going to sleep. We sit in the dark for a minute, just breathing, in, out. The air is still heavy with the scent of the feast, but now it is a cold scent. Cold roast pork, cold wine. We stand up. We navigate carefully around the couches in the dark. We know where they are now. We move slowly, hand outstretched, until we touch the smooth plaster of the wall. We guide ourselves along the wall towards the exit. Our fingertips slide over the painted surface. We feel the seam where one panel ends and another begins. We reach the doorway. We look back one last time at the triclinium. The couches are dark mounds. The table is a flat pool of shadow. The garden doors are a vertical line of silver light. Good night, room, we think. Rest for the morning. We step out into the corridor. This is the main artery of the house. We have explored the wings, the bath, the kitchen, the library. Now we are in the central spine. We are walking towards the sleeping quarters again, but this time we are heading for a specific room. The room of the master, the cubiculum. But first we must pass the shrine again, the Narration in the Atrium. We passed it earlier, but now, in the depth of the night, it feels different. We walk slowly. The floor changes from mosaic to stone. The sound of our steps changes from a soft thud to a crisp tap, tap, tap. The house is so big, and we are so small inside it. That is a comforting thought. We are held by the structure. We pass a window that looks out onto the street. The heavy shutter is barred. We put our ear to the wood. Can we hear the city? No. The snow has muffled everything. There are no carts, no guard patrols, no stray dogs barking. The city of the Roman Empire is silent under the snow. It is a rare moment of total peace in a civilization known for noise. We are alone in the hallway, just us in the shadows. We feel heavy. Our legs are moving automatically. Left foot, right foot. We are sleepwalking through history. We reach the door of the master's cubiculum. It is closed. There is a small rug outside the door to stop drafts. It is crooked. We resist the urge to straighten it. Imperfection is human. We do not go in yet. We pause in the hallway. We look at the ceiling beams above us. They are thick, dark, and reassuring. We are waiting for the night to deepen even further, waiting for the turning of the watch. The guard at the city gate is changing shift right now, blowing into his hands to keep warm, but we are inside. We are warm. We lean against the doorframe. We close our eyes for a second. We can still smell the faint, sweet scent of the dining room wine clinging to our clothes. The night is a journey, and we are more than halfway through. The deepest, quietest hour is just ahead. We stand before the door of the cubiculum. This is the master bedroom. In a modern house, the master bedroom might be the largest room. But in a Roman house, particularly in winter, the bedroom is small. It is a nest. It is designed to be small so that body heat can fill it, so that the warmth does not get lost in high corners. We push the door open. It moves silently on well-oiled bronze hinges. We slip inside and close the door behind us. The latch clicks softly. Click. We are now sealed in. The silence here is dense. It is a physical weight. The air is warm, warmer even than the kitchen. It is a stagnant, cozy warmth, smelling of sleep and wool and lavender. The room is dark. It takes a long time for our eyes to make sense of the shapes. Slowly, the blackness separates into shades of gray. The room is dominated by the bed, the lectus. It is high off the ground, higher than a modern bed. You would need a small stool to climb into it. The frame is made of oak, solid and heavy. The legs are turned on a lathe, decorated with concentric rings, but we can barely see them in the dark. On the bed, there is a mountain of blankets. Beneath that mountain lies the master of the house. We cannot see him, really. We can only see the shape of a shoulder, the curve of a hip, buried under layers of fur and fabric. He is asleep, deeply asleep. Listen to his breathing. H. Pause, shuo. It is a slow, heavy rhythm. It is the sound of a man who has nothing to fear. The legions guard the frontier. The dogs guard the atrium. The doors are locked. He can let go completely. The blankets are important. Let us look at them closely. The top layer is a heavy cloak, a sagum made of thick, felted wool. It is water-resistant and windproof. It is usually worn outdoors, but on a freezing night like this, it is thrown over the bed for extra weight. It smells of the outdoors, of faint rain and horses. Beneath that is a quilt stuffed with down feathers, feathers from geese raised on the farm. It is soft and lofty. It traps the heat effectively. And beneath that, touching the skin, are sheets of fine linen. They were cold when he first got in, crisp and smooth. Now they are warm. They have absorbed his temperature. We move closer to the bed. We move like a shadow. We do not want to wake him. On the floor near the head of the bed is a small wooden step stool. It has 2 steps. It sits empty, waiting for the morning. Beside it are a pair of soft slippers lined with rabbit fur. They look comfortable. They look like they are hugging the floor. There is a small table beside the bed, a mensa. It is round, with 3 legs shaped like the legs of a deer. On the table sits a cup of water. Let us look at the water. It is in a silver cup. In the darkness, the silver does not shine. It looks like dark gray pewter. The water is perfectly still. There is no vibration in this room. The water is a flat disk of liquid. If he wakes up thirsty in the night, the water is there. Cool, clean, ready. Next to the cup is a small lamp, a lucerna. It is unlit. The wick is black. Beside it lies a flint and steel and a small box of tinder. If he needs light, he can make it. But for now, he prefers the dark. The walls of the cubiculum are painted, but we can hardly see the colors. They are likely dark, deep reds or blacks to make the room feel smaller and cozier. There are no distracting patterns here. No busy scenes of mythology. Just blocks of color to enclose the space. There is a small window high up on the wall. It is small for a reason. Windows let in the cold. This one is covered by a solid wooden shutter, 2 inches thick. It is barred from the inside with an iron rod. We can hear the wind outside. Woo! It is trying to get in. It pushes against the shutter. The wood groans slightly under the pressure. But it holds. The iron bar holds. The wind slides away, defeated. The contrast between the violence of the wind outside and the stillness of the sleeper inside is the essence of this room. It is a fortress of sleep. The sleeper shifts. The blankets rustle. Shhhshhh. It is a heavy sound, wool rubbing against wool. He turns onto his side. He lets out a long sigh. HMMMMM. He settles again. The rhythm of breathing resumes. Hhhhhhh. Shuo. We feel a sense of intrusion, but also a sense of kinship. Across 2,000 years, sleeping looks exactly the same. The heavy limbs, the relaxed face, the need for warmth. We are watching a human being do the most human thing possible. On the wall opposite the bed there is a peg. Hanging from the peg is a robe. It hangs limp and long. In the shadows it looks like a phantom, a tall, thin figure standing against the wall. But it is just fabric. It is waiting to be worn. The floor is covered with a thick rug. It is a shag rug with long loops of wool. It is soft underfoot. It insulates the room from the cold ground. If we were to lie down on this rug, we would fall asleep instantly. It invites rest. Let us sit in the corner of the room, on a small wooden chest. We will just watch the darkness. There is a scent here that is subtle. It is the scent of beeswax polish used on the wood, and a hint of citron wood from the table. It is a rich, expensive smell. The room is so small that the air feels shared. We are breathing the same air as the sleeper. It creates a bond. Time does not exist here. There is no sun to mark the hour. There is no water clock dripping. There is only the cycle of the breath. In, out. We imagine the dreams of the Roman master. Is he dreaming of his vineyards, of his children, of a chariot race he saw in Rome years ago, or is he dreaming of nothing, just floating in the gray void of deep sleep? Probably nothing. The sleep of the winter is a hibernation sleep. It is dreamless and heavy. We look at the ceiling. It is low. We could almost touch it if we stood on tiptoes. It is vaulted, curved like the inside of a cave. This shape helps circulate the warm air. The Romans were masters of airflow. Even in their sleep, they were engineered. A small spider lowers itself from the ceiling on a thread of silk. It descends slowly, spinning gently. It hangs directly over the foot of the bed. It hangs there, suspended. It decides this is a good spot. It stops. The spider and the sleeper, two living things in a box of stone. The wind outside dies down for a moment. The silence rushes back in, louder than before. We can hear the blood rushing in our own ears. Swoosh, swoosh. We feel the texture of the wooden chest we are sitting on. It is carved with a relief of ivy leaves. We trace the leaves with our fingers in the dark. The wood is cool but not cold. It has a grain. We can feel the tiny ridges where the summer growth meets the winter growth of the tree. The darkness is restful for the eyes. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded by light, screens, streetlights, LEDs. Here there is no artificial light. This is true darkness, organic darkness. It rests the optic nerve. It allows the brain to turn off. Let your eyes unfocus. Let the gray shapes blur together. The bed becomes a cloud. The hanging robe becomes a shadow. The table becomes a mushroom. The room dissolves into soft, abstract forms. The sleeper coughs once. A dry, short cough. He does not wake up, he swallows. The silence returns. We wonder what time it is. Perhaps the third watch of the night. Tertia Vigilia. The time when the night is darkest, just before the first hint of dawn. But dawn is hours away. We have plenty of time. There is a chamber pot under the bed, a ceramic vessel. It is a humble necessity. It reminds us that even in this elegant house, biology dictates life. It is hidden in the shadows. We stand up slowly. The wooden chest does not creak. We are careful. We move towards the door. We want to leave the sleeper to his peace. We do not want to disturb the sanctuary. We reach for the latch. The metal is cool. We lift it gently. Click. We pull the door open just a crack. The light from the hallway seems bright now, even though it is dim. We slip out. We close the door. Thump. The breathing is gone. The heavy wool silence is gone. We are back in the hallway. But we are not done. There is one more place we must visit, a place that is awake when the rest of the house sleeps, a place of duty, the gatekeeper's lodge, the ostium. We need to see who is guarding this sleep, who is watching the door while the master dreams. We turn towards the front of the house, towards the entrance. The air gets colder as we move. We are moving away from the heart of the house, towards the shell, towards the barrier between the inside and the outside. We walk past the atrium again. The snow is still falling. The pile in the pool is higher now, a small white pyramid in the dark. We keep walking. The corridor narrows. We are approaching the vestibulum. The floor changes. It becomes rougher stone, paving stones meant for heavy traffic. We wrap our imaginary cloaks tighter. It is colder here. We are nearing the street. We can smell the cold air coming from the front door. It smells of ice and mud. But before the door there is a small room to the side, a small cell. This is where the janitor sits, the doorman. Let us go see him. Let us see the vigilance of the night. But for now, just pause in the hallway. Look back towards the bedrooms. Think of the row of closed doors. Behind each one, a person sleeping. A whole family, suspended in dreams, kept alive by the warmth of the stones and the thickness of the wool. It is a fragile miracle, this shelter, a bubble of life in a frozen universe. We take a step forward, the stone echoes clack. We are moving to the edge of the world. We leave the sleeping master and the warm, lavender-scented air of the bedroom. We walk back into the main corridor. We turn towards the front of the house. As we walk, the atmosphere changes. The air grows cooler with every step. The comfortable, insulated silence of the inner rooms is replaced by a different kind of silence, a cold, hollow silence. We are entering the throat of the house, the fauces. It is a narrow passage that connects the atrium to the street. The floor here is not made of delicate mosaic tiles. It is paved with large, rectangular slabs of stone, flagstones. They are gray and uneven. They are meant for muddy sandals, for wet feet, for the heavy traffic of the day. Now they are dry and cold. Our footsteps sound louder here. Clack, clack, clack. The sound echoes off the high, plastered walls. There are no tapestries here to absorb the sound. The walls are bare, painted a simple, utilitarian white. We reach the end of the passage. We stand before the great front door, the Janua. This is the barrier between the safety of the house and the chaos of the world. It is a massive double door, made of oak planks that are 3 inches thick. The wood is dark, almost black, stained by years of oil and weather. It is bound with heavy bronze straps that run horizontally across the planks. The bronze is dull in the shadows, turning green at the edges with verdigris. The door is shut tight. A heavy iron bar lies across the width of it, resting in deep sockets carved into the stone frame. The bar is a piece of solid iron, square and rusted. It looks immovable. It says, "No one enters here tonight." To the right of the door is a small niche, a little room carved out of the hallway. This is the Cella Ashiria, the doorman's lodge. Inside this small space sits the janitor. He is the guardian of the threshold. He is a slave, but a trusted one. He is an old man, his face weathered like a piece of dried leather. He has spent half his life sitting in this drafty hallway, watching people come and go. Tonight he is not watching, he is waiting. He sits on a low, 3-legged stool. He is wrapped in a heavy cloak made of untreated sheepskin. The wool is on the inside against his body, the leather is on the outside. It is a primitive, effective garment. It smells of the flock. He has a hood pulled up over his head, casting his face in shadow. He is awake, but only just. His eyes are half closed. He is staring at a small brazier at his feet. This brazier is much smaller than the one in the kitchen. It is a humble iron pot filled with a few glowing coals. It gives off just enough heat to keep his feet from freezing. It gives off a thin wisp of smoke that curls up towards the ceiling. His hands are tucked inside his sleeves. He is motionless. He looks like a statue placed in the niche, a statue of patience. Next to the stool, chained to a ring in the wall, is the dog. This is not the sleepy pet we saw in the warm living room. This is a Molossian, a war dog, a guard dog. It is massive, with a heavy chest and a broad, blocky head. Its fur is short and bristly, dark brindle in color. But even the war dog succumbs to the winter night. It is lying on a pile of straw, curled into a tight ball. Its nose is tucked under its tail to keep warm. It is asleep. Listen to the dog, it snores. Grrrshhh, grrrshhh. It is a deep, resonant rumble. It vibrates against the stone floor. Occasionally, the dog twitches. Its paws paddle the air slightly. It is chasing a phantom wolf in its dreams. The heavy iron chain clinks softly when it moves. Ching. The janitor reaches out a hand from his cloak. He does not look down. He simply rests his hand on the dog's head. He strokes the coarse fur once. Scritch. The dog sighs and settles deeper into the straw. The man and the beast share the cold watch. Let us look at the door again. There is a gap at the bottom between the wood and the stone threshold. The Romans used a draft snake, a long tube of fabric stuffed with sand, to block this gap. It lies there pressed against the wood, but the cold still finds a way. Put your hand near the crack. You can feel the draft. It is a stream of freezing air, sharp as a knife. It flows over the stone floor, cooling the entryway. This is the breath of the street. We can hear the wind outside more clearly here. It is not just a distant moan, it is a physical presence. It buffets the heavy oak doors. Thud, thud. The wood creaks in protest. The iron hinges groan. Ee. The janitor does not flinch. He knows the sounds of the door. He knows the difference between the wind and a thief. The wind is rhythmic. A thief is irregular. Tonight there is only the wind. On the wall next to the doorman hangs a large ring of keys. They are made of iron and bronze. Some are huge, as long as a hand, with complex teeth. Some are small and delicate. They hang from a heavy iron nail. They are the symbols of his power. He controls access. The keys clang gently against the wall when a heavy gust of wind shakes the house. Clink clank. It is a lonely sound. We look at the floor of the vestibulum, the area just outside the door, if we could see through it. But we are inside. However, on the floor of the hallway there is a mosaic. It is famous. It depicts a black dog on a white background. Beneath it are the words, "C-A-V-E-C-A-N-E-M, beware of the dog." The mosaic dog looks alert, ready to bite. The real dog is snoring on the straw. The contrast is amusing in a quiet way. The mosaic never sleeps. The real dog needs his rest. The janitor shifts his weight on the stool. The wood creaks. He leans forward and picks up a small iron poker. He pokes the coals in the brazier. Crunch, crunch. He exposes a red ember that was hiding under the ash. A faint orange glow illuminates his face for a second. We see deep wrinkles, a gray stubble beard, eyes that are watery from the cold. He puts the poker down. Clang. The sound is sharp in the echoing hall. He pulls his sheepskin tighter. He settles back into his stillness. What does a doorman think about at 3:00 a.m.? Does he think about his childhood? Does he think about the soup he will eat in the morning? Or does he think about nothing? He is a professional waiter. He is an expert at passing time. He counts the drafts. He counts the snores of the dog. We lean against the wall opposite him. The plaster is ice cold. It sucks the heat right out of our shoulder. We stand up straight again. We wrap our arms around ourselves. It is definitely colder here. There is a smell of damp wool. The dog smells musky. The brazier smells of charcoal. And there is a faint metallic smell from the bronze doors. We look at the lock mechanism on the door. It is a marvel of Roman engineering, a complex system of tumblers and pins. It is encased in a bronze box attached to the wood. It looks solid. It looks unbreakable. The janitor looks at us, or he looks through us. In the dark, it is hard to tell. He nods slowly, a slow dipping of the chin. It is a salute from one night watcher to another. All is well, the nod says. The door holds. We watch the shadows play on the ceiling. The light from the brazier is so low that the shadows are vague, shapeless monsters that flicker and die. The wind outside changes pitch. It becomes a high whistle. Whee! It is blowing through the keyhole. The janitor reaches into a pocket of his tunic. He pulls out a piece of beeswax. He molds it in his fingers to soften it. Then he leans over and plugs the keyhole with the wax. Squish! The whistling stops. Silence returns. He is practical. He solves problems. We look at the straw under the dog. It is yellow and dry. It rustles when the dog breathes. Crinkle, crinkle. It is the only soft thing in this hard room of stone and iron. We are bored. The cold makes us alert, but the stillness makes us drowsy. It is a strange combination. We are freezing and sleepy at the same time. The janitor closes his eyes again. His head drops forward on his chest. He is dozing, but his hand is still near the dog. If the dog moves, he will wake. If the door rattles too hard, he will wake. He sleeps with one ear open. We feel a great respect for this room. It is not beautiful like the atrium. It is not warm like the bath, but it is the most important room. It is the shield. Because of this cold room, the rest of the house can be warm. Because of this hard room, the rest of the house can be soft. We step back. We move away from the door. We do not want to catch a chill. We look back one last time. The dark shape of the door, the hunched shape of the man, the curled shape of the dog, the faint red eye of the coal fire, a tableau of guardianship. We walk back up the passage, back towards the warmth. The air gets milder with every step. The sound of our footsteps softens as we reach the transition to the mosaic floor. We are returning to the center of the house, to the heart. We have seen the perimeter. We have seen the edge. Now we know we are truly safe. The door is barred. The wax is in the keyhole. The dog is there. We walk past the tablinum again, the office. It is dark and empty. We walk past the atrium again. The snow is still falling through the roof. It has not stopped. It is relentless. We pause by a pillar in the atrium. We look at the snow. The white pile in the pool is substantial now. It is a small monument to the winter. We have been everywhere. We have seen the fire, the food, the books, the bath, the bed, and the door. The tour is almost over, but there is one thing left to do. We need to wait for the dawn. We need to sit and watch the night end. We need to find the perfect spot to watch the morning come. Not the bedroom too dark. Not the kitchen too busy soon. The atrium. We will sit in the atrium and watch the sky change color. So we stop walking. We find the marble bench again, the one with the cushion. We sit down. We are back where the snow falls. But the feeling is different now. We know the house. We understand its anatomy. We know what is happening in every corner. The cook is sleeping. The soldier is sleeping. The scholar is sleeping. The master is sleeping. The doorman is sleeping. The house is a single breathing organism resting before the sun returns. We wrap the cushion around us for warmth. We settle in. We watch the square of darkness in the roof. We wait. The silence is absolute now. Even the wind seems to have tired itself out. There is just the falling snow, white flakes against black sky. Hypnotic, endless quiet. We are sitting on the marble bench in the atrium. We have been here for a while now. The cushion beneath us is warm. The stone wall behind us is cool. We are perfectly positioned between the elements. We look up at the square opening in the roof, the compluvium. For the last few hours, it has been a square of absolute blackness, broken only by the falling white flakes. But now, something is changing. It is subtle. If you blinked, you might miss it. The black is turning into indigo. It is the very first hint of the dawn. The ante-lucem, the time before the light. The sky is no longer a void. It has depth. It has color. It is a deep, rich blue, heavy and saturated. The snow is still falling, but it has slowed down. It is no longer a blizzard. It is a gentle, lazy drift. The flakes are smaller now. They float down from the blue square like dust motes caught in a sunbeam, except there is no sun yet. Just the ambient glow of the coming day. We look down at the pool, the impluvium. The pile of snow in the center has grown tall. It is a white cone rising from the black water. It looks like a miniature mountain. The edges of the pile are soft and slushy, melting into the water. Drip, drip. The sound of the melting snow is the only clock we have. The light in the atrium is changing too. The shadows are lifting. Before, the columns were just dark vertical bars. Now we can see the fluting in the stone. We can see the texture of the limestone. We can see the pale color of the paint at the base. The room is revealing itself. It is the blue hour, that magical time when the world loses its contrast and everything becomes a shade of blue-gray. The red walls look purple. The yellow paintings look green. The white floor looks blue. It is a watercolor painting that hasn't dried yet. We take a deep breath. The air is incredibly fresh. It has been scrubbed clean by the snow. It tastes of oxygen and cold water. It wakes up the lungs, but it soothes the mind. The house is still silent, but it is a different kind of silence. The night silence was heavy and thick. The morning silence is expectant. It is a silence that is waiting for a sound. Far away outside the thick walls, we hear a sound. It is very faint, muffled by the snow, crow, a rooster. It is miles away, perhaps at a nearby farm. It sounds like a memory of a sound. It does not disturb the peace, it only emphasizes it. It reminds us that the world is still out there, turning, waking up. But in here, we do not need to wake up. We are observers. We can stay on this bench as long as we want. Let us look at the frescoes on the wall again. The painted garden. In this blue light, the garden looks mystical. The painted birds seem to be waking up. The painted leaves seem to shiver in the cold air. The art is reacting to the light. The wooden horse, the child's toy we saw earlier, is still on the floor. It hasn't moved. But now the shadow it casts is softer, longer. It looks less lonely now. It looks like it is waiting for the child to return. We feel a sense of accomplishment. We have made it through the night. The Roman night was long and dark and cold, but the shelter held. The Hypocaust kept the floor warm. The walls kept the wind out. The roof kept the snow out. The system worked. We think about the people in the other rooms. The soldier is probably stretching now in the dark, preparing for the day. The cook is likely stirring the embers, blowing life back into the charcoal. The master is turning over in his warm bed, pulling the blankets tighter for one last hour of sleep. They are all safe. The snow stops just like that. One last flake drifts down, spirals, and lands on the water. Melt. Then nothing. The square of sky is clear. The clouds are breaking up. We can see a star, just one. A bright morning star, Venus. It hangs in the blue square, piercing and white. It watches us. It is the same star that watched the Caesars. The same star that watches us today. It is a fixed point in a changing world. The light grows stronger, imperceptibly. The blue shifts to a lighter steel gray. The details of the room become sharper. We can see the dust on the floor. We can see the grain of the marble. We stand up from the bench. Our legs are stiff, but we feel rested. We walk slowly towards the center of the room. We stand by the pool. The water is like a mirror now. It reflects the square of the sky perfectly. Blue sky above, blue water below. We are standing between two skies. We reach out a hand and touch the cold stone of the column. It is solid. It is real. It anchors us. We walk towards the garden doors at the back of the atrium. The crack we looked through earlier is glowing with white light. We push the doors open slightly. Creak. The garden is transformed. It is a wonderland of white. The snow is pristine, untouched. It covers everything in a thick, soft blanket. The statue of the nymph is wearing a white crown. The hedges are white walls. The sky above the garden is pale, pale gray, hinting at pink in the east. It is breathtakingly quiet. The snow absorbs all sound. There is no echo. We breathe out. A cloud of white vapor forms in front of our face. Puff. It hangs in the cold air, then vanishes. Our breath is visible proof of life. We close the doors. Thump. It is too cold to stay open for long. We return to the relative warmth of the atrium. The house is beginning to make sounds. A door opens somewhere deep in the corridor. Creak, footsteps on wood, thump, thump, the sound of a broom sweeping stone, swish, swish. The slaves are waking up. The machine of the Roman household is starting its engine, but it is slow. There is no rushing. In the winter, everything takes time. We are not part of their work. We are ghosts of the future visiting the past. We have seen what we came to see. We walk back to the entrance of the atrium. We look back at the room. The light is now a soft, pearly gray. It is gentle on the eyes. It is the most peaceful light of the day. We think about the journey we took, the fire in the living room, the steam in the bath, the scrolls in the library, the food in the storeroom, the sleep in the bedroom. All of these separate moments form a complete picture of a life that was harder than ours in many ways, but perhaps more grounded, a life connected to the earth, to the stone, to the fire. We feel a deep sense of calm. The anxiety of the modern world has dissolved in this ancient house. Here, the only news is the weather. The only deadline is the sunrise. We lean against the wall. We close our eyes for a moment. We can still smell the wood smoke. We can still feel the warmth of the floor. We can still hear the water dripping. Drip, drip. The rhythm continues. It will continue long after we leave. The blue hour is fading. The true morning is coming. The sky is turning a pale lavender. The charcoal brazier in the kitchen is hot now. The porridge is bubbling. The soldier is lacing his sandals. The doorman is unbarring the front door. The night is over. But you do not need to wake up. You can take this feeling with you, this heavy, warm, stone-like feeling of safety. Imagine you are still on that bench in the atrium, wrapped in the wool cushion, watching the last star fade, listening to the silence. The Roman Empire is awake, but it is a slow, quiet empire today. The snow has slowed the legions. The snow has quieted the forum. Today is a day for staying inside, a day for resting. You are sheltered, you are warm, you are safe. The video is ending, but the house remains. The walls will stand for another 1,000 years. The history is waiting for you whenever you want to return. Let the image of the atrium fade. The white columns, the blue pool, the gray light. Fade to white, fade to silence, fade to sleep.